The tall, gangly thing?
Yeah. Cool.
So, on here, I have the questions you asked me, what you wanted to focus on, right? So,
Yeah.
best times to level, when to reroll for 2 and 3-star champs versus just leveling for another unit. And then, how long do I save for items? How long do I wait for optimal build items before I use what I have? Am I hurting my earlier mid-game by holding on to 8 items and not using potentially finished items on my units? Those are really great questions to ask. And so what I'm going to do is we're just going to start watching, and then we're going to focus on those things. The main thing I think we're going to talk about is probably going to be when to reroll and when to level. I think economy is kind of the biggest difference you'll find in like what separates a player who's able to climb consistently and a player who is having trouble climbing. So we're probably going to focus on econ. So actually, you know what? Before we start, here's one thing I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
Do you play the same comp most games, or do you have kind of like a certain pool of comps that you play with?
So at the beginning, I really focused in on one comp, and then the meta kind of changed. Suddenly, like overnight, Brawler Blasters was the best thing, and my comp just got destroyed by it. So
and what comp
right now,
that?
So at the beginning, it was Vanguard, 4 Vanguard snipers, 2 snipers.
Yep.
And it was an easy comp to get into because 4 Vanguard was pretty strong back then, and you only needed 6 units to really complete the build. You had you can get to level 9 pretty easily in a game with a pretty good pool of money. But getting to level 6 is much quicker, and you have basically a finished comp at that point. Everything else is just kind of fluff to get you stronger into the late game. So I was doing that, and as time progressed in these patch updates, it became less and less something that I could just go for. I also went for that because it was you didn't need the synergy in like going for full Dark Star or going for full Chrono or something like that.
Yeah, it was
champs are just all over the place.
Right, so it's all smaller synergies, so you felt like it was
right.
easier to force.
Yes,
cool.
Exactly.
So,
you can basically make it happen every game.
So do you are you going to play that in this game that we're watching?
I think so. I think that's what happened.
That's kind of where it ends up. Okay. So
yeah,
would you say this? Because here's the thing. In the last set, I played Berserkers only, pretty much, by the time I climbed. So one-tricking a comp is completely viable if you know how to play it really well. So would you say that going into this game, you wanted to play a specific comp, or is this game kind of you figuring out as it goes along and it just kind of ended up where it ended up?
So you'll see, because this is the Lilac Nebula one. There's a Wukong on the carousel. So and when I saw that, I was like, well, I'm going Vanguard, because usually Wukong I don't get him until later on in the game because they don't show up, and I don't necessarily go Vanguard, but he's part of the core Vanguard build that I usually go. So having him right off the bat, it's like, well, I'm gonna force it at this point. So I don't know if that was the right decision or not. So.
Cool. That makes sense. All right, so I'm going to start this video, and you can see it, right?
Yeah. Yep. It's
cool.
Coming through.
All right, so this is actually a huge pickup because you picked up a Wukong with a belt. So if you have a Wukong with a belt, you're off to a really great start, because if you're forcing this Vanguard comp, you have half of what I would consider a really useful, maybe not essential, but a really useful item in this comp, which is Morellonomicon.
Right.
And I don't know exactly what items you prioritize, but
I went Morello on him.
Okay, cool. That's great. That's great.
By accident, though. You'll see.
Okay. I'm going to let this play out a little bit and just kind of see how you play out the early game. In a little bit, what I want to do is we're going to talk about what your ideal end game looks like. But I'm going to wait to kind of just see how it plays out first. I think it's yeah. I think we can skip ahead. This all seems pretty good. I would probably, at this point, I almost always pick up the bench when you have extra gold, because it's not like you're going to hit 10 gold no matter what happens. You might as well pick up the pair Kazakhs and the Jarvan, because if you get a tier 2 Kha'Zix to start, then it's a lot easier to win streak. So usually just spend your gold if you have no way of making 10 gold.
That's a good point, because there was the tier 2.
Yep, there's your tier 2 Kha'Zix. And then you get Vanguard, Kha'Zix, and you're off to a good start. So, yeah, that's just little things like that. And so here, I mean, same thing. You might as well spend it and see if you can get an early pair. It's a little trickier when it comes to like 2 or 3 cost units, because then if you are making them 2-star and selling them later, you're losing money. So you don't always want to do that, but it's worth spending the money that you have in the beginning. All right, let's see. Ah, nice. That's a good Caitlyn pickup.
Yep.
Yeah, so I can see where we're at right now. All right, let's talk about this. All right, this is an interesting decision that you make. Okay, so leveling early means that you believe your board is going to be stronger than everybody else's. So that in of itself is not a bad decision. The bad decision is actually that you made that decision without looking at anybody else's board. So for all you know, it's very possible that somebody has a 2-star Xayah, a 2-star Twisted Fate, and a 2-star Poppy, and then they have their 4-cost unit, and you're going to hit them on the first round, and you're just going to lose. And at that point, that 4 gold that you spent is now 4 gold that you're not going to be able to use to get to 10 gold, and it's going to take you even longer now to hit 10 gold so that your economy can get started. So I'm going to make a note of that. I'm also taking notes here on that Google Doc I showed you, and I'll share that with you at the end. But I'm going to say leveled up without checking strength of your board versus the lobby. And I would also say that I personally would almost never level up without a 2-star unit, at least one. Sometimes even just one is not enough. So I would say in that position, I probably hold on to my gold and try and make econ faster. And what do we just?
You want to hear?
Oh let me.
The panicked bronze way of thinking. Why I made that decision?
Yeah, I would love to.
The reason was I saw that I had no 2-star units, and I said, "Oh wow, I'm gonna just get face rolled immediately." But I wasn't thinking about the lost streak gold I could get. I was like, you know what, Graves is a good pickup because of the fact that he can blind, and maybe it'll make my Kate get her ult out faster. Okay. But that is obviously not the right choice in the situation as I'm looking back on it. Yeah.
So let's see how this fight plays out. What I would say is that it's okay to lose early. In fact, it's a viable strategy because you either essentially want to win streak or lose streak in the beginning. You really the worst thing that could happen, honestly, is win lose win lose win lose. And this worked out because you actually won. So let's actually. What I would say is generally what you did was a pretty greedy move, and if you get punished for it now, you'll be in an even worse spot because you're not lose streaking and you're not win streaking and you don't have 10 gold.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I'm just starting on a bad foot, basically.
All right. I will say it looks like nobody's actually that strong. He has the Jace, which is scary. Wow, those Kha'Zixes...
This destroyed me.
Wait,
completely.
He did way more damage than I would have expected.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, that didn't work out, huh?
No.
I guess he does. He does have 2 infiltrator. Actually, that makes sense. Never mind.
Yeah. And a finish item on Fizz, which I guess.
Yep. All right. Let's see what you pick up here. I'm curious if you take the Darius. So
I don't remember.
This is an interesting spot. All right, so now this is very interesting. Okay. You spent that 4 gold in the beginning of the game, right?
Yep.
Because of that 4 gold that you spent that you weren't able to win streak with, you are under 10 gold right now, right? If you were not under 10 gold, you could pick up the Darius, and you could run Space Pirate to try and get a little bit extra gold. Because Darius Graves are just like a really strong early game to get you a little bit of extra gold to get your economy going. But in this position, it's really hard for you to justify buying that Darius. Because I'm assuming you don't buy it. But let's see.
Remember.
It looks
I don't think I do.
And I think that's the right call in this circumstance, but it's the wrong call in the grand scheme of things because you put yourself in a place where you couldn't buy it. Let's see. You should be able to beat this guy, I think. 2 Vanguard is very strong now early, and having the Wukong and the Poppy. Oh boy. Wait a sec. Okay, you're good. Yeah, and having the Wukong and the Poppy are definitely a really good early game power spike. Yeah. All right. Well, Andy hit 10 gold going into Carousel. Second to last pick. Let's see. We see a rod for Morello. And so at this point you have a belt, a BF sword, and a glove. And so you're going Vanguard Sniper at this point in the game?
The idea is to eventually get there. I don't know how that's going to happen because I hadn't seen a Jace yet. Obviously, it's a little early for that anyway. And I knew I wasn't going to pick one up anytime soon. And I didn't know when I would 2-star anything. So at this point, my brain is thinking, you'll see. I tried to circle with my cursor so I remembered what I was thinking at the point on every carousel.
Okay, yeah.
So I was thinking I'm either going to pick up the Ashe, even though I think she had a Giant's Belt or something that wasn't really going to be helpful, or I was going to pick up another Vanguard unit to just build up that. So I didn't know what I was going to get because I knew I was in third. So I think at this point I was thinking that I was still going Vanguard Sniper.
Yeah, and I would say with what items you have right now, you actually are really set up for Vanguard Sniper. So what I have here, actually, I'm going to pull this up, is the perfect Vanguard Sniper build. Arguably perfect. And so endgame, it relies on Jhin carrying instead of Ashe, and you drop Caitlyn. And then I have here Jace running these, but you can also, in this position where you're at, you can actually probably use Wukong because you already are near the Morellos with him.
Yeah.
So, looking at your items, you have an IE, which is a Jhin item. 100%. You could, when you have that and you have your Wukong that has half of Morellos, you could slam that IE, which means you just make it right away and put that on Caitlyn. Because Caitlyn is going to be your item holder.
Yeah. Yep. So
what you, in this position, your goal is to make your Jhin items so that when you find that Jhin, you're just transferring those items right away, and your build is basically there, right? And so I'm not going to talk too much about like the comp yet. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Okay.
But going into this carousel, if you want to be playing Vanguard Sniper, you need to be thinking, what is the most important items for me to get this game?
Gotcha.
And generally, you want to have your carry with 2 offensive items and a defensive item, because there's just so much CC in this game.
Yeah.
That is really important to have something like Trap Claw or GA or Quicksilver. I really like Trap Claw personally. Trap Claw and Quicksilver, I love those. GA is also really good. The only thing about Jhin is that I would say if you get hooked by a Blitzcrank and you have GA, it's even if you die and come back,
you're mispositioned.
You're mispositioned. You're not taking advantage of the sniper buff anymore. So I find that Trap Claw and Quicksilver are really good for those reasons.
Cool.
So let's see how this carousel plays out. Actually, this is what I'd like you to do.
Okay.
So based on what we just talked about, knowing that you want Morellos, or you want these defensive items, or you want your IE, well, you have your IE, so you either want Trap Claw or Runan's Hurricane. What do you think are some like good options that you could be taking from this carousel?
So I would probably prioritize the Darius to get the rod, so I can throw the Morellos pretty early on Wukong, and then like you said, I could create the IE, throw it on Kate right away. That I have 2 items completed. If someone grabs the Darius, because they might be going, he's a very hot commodity these days.
He is.
My second option could either be going for the Negatron cloak, if I'm trying to build a Dragon's Claw later, or trying to use that. That's a good defensive item for the Trap Claw too.
Also for Runans too.
Yes, that would be the bow and the
cloak.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I guess the third option would be it sucks because I think I do take the Ash, and that kind of hurt me because the only thing I can really make that's helpful with that for her is the Herald or whatever it is.
Zeke's Herald, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not really great on her because she's a sniper and she needs to be in the back, and you need to be on a close hex with somebody for it to be valuable. So I would probably, now looking at it again, I'd probably prioritize a bow. So I'd probably grab the Syndra or the Shen as the third option.
Would you say, why do you think you took the Ash?
Because I wanted the sniper buff early.
Okay, so you took it for the unit, not for the item.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
For the unit and not the item.
So what I would say is generally, all the carousels up through round 3, for the most part, you almost never take them for the unit. The only time that you really would take it for the unit is if you're playing Star Cluster and you can get a free tier 2.
Yeah.
Or if by round 3 you are losing a lot of health and you need a specific unit that you just aren't rolling to stabilize. Even then, almost always, you're taking these carousels, you're only looking at the items.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, you said it yourself though, but that if you had to do this again, you'd probably either take the Darius or the Yasuo. You could also take the BF sword. You could run, like I said, like you want to run 2 offensive items on Jhin. So you could run like Last Whisper, or another IE or something else. I like Runans because when he is, just like super powered up, then he has the potential to one-shot 2 units at once with his 4th shot. All right, so let's see how this plays out then. You have a little bit of time. All right, here we go. You take... you said you take the Ash, right? Yeah, we already knew that.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, yep, you took the Ash. No problem. That's definitely a mistake, but now you know kind of why that's a mistake.
Oh, and it felt so bad, too, because I realized I was like, I'm taking the unit with a Giant's Belt, and I was like, that could be used somewhere else so well.
Okay.
You saw it.
All right. So, here is a pretty simple leveling breakdown, okay?
Okay.
Generally, unless you're win streaking, do not level to level 4 early, like you did at 2-1. Unless you're trying to win streak, you do not level to 4.
Right.
And level 5, you only take level 5 if you need level 5 to beat Krugs. So if you're a really weak team, and if you don't, then you just take it at 3-1. Are you familiar with like how the round numbers? Okay, yeah. So normally you would take 5 at 3-1. So what I'm gonna do actually just in this little sheet is just write for you. Generally, level 4 is gonna be, level 4 is gonna be natural. So it'll just level up by itself.
It'll just happen.
Yeah, unless you're win streaking, and I'll make a note of that.
Right.
Unless win streaking. Level 5. 3-1,
okay.
Unless you need it for Krugs again, or if you're win streaking and have like the gold to spend, and then level 6 is going to be 3-2.
Wow.
Yeah, so we'll get to that in a little bit. But do you kind of have an idea of why it's probably a bad idea to level the way that you've been leveling?
I got no money.
You have no money.
Also, I panicked again because, as you can see, I made one bad choice, and I said, well, now I got to double down on that bad choice because I wanted it for the sniper, and I'm not going to get level 5. I'm going to sit on this Ash with an item that I can't have right now to change it into something.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I got to double down on the bad decision, which puts me even further behind. But here I am at 3rd place thinking it's working.
Right. And it can feel like that, too. And I know one thing you talked about is how you feel like you are really strong, and then suddenly you're not.
Fall off.
And these decisions that you're making right here where you're spending 8 gold, that would have put you actually over 20 gold at this point, which means that you're getting an extra 1. So you didn't just lose out on 1 gold by not hitting 20. You lost out probably, I mean, I think it's fair to say that you probably lose actually like 5 gold by leveling those 2 times, because you are going to continuously miss your interest. You're going to continuously miss 20 when you should have had, or you're going to be at 10 when you should have been at 20. You're going to miss 30 when 30 when you're at 20. And so you're losing gold every round because you're spending this money to level instead of building up interest.
Okay.
So, yeah, like I said, at the end of this, I'll give you a general leveling guide that does need to change based on like how the game's playing out, but it's a good like basic framework.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's skip ahead. My guess is that you probably win like the next 1 or 2. Let's see.
Don't be so sure.
Well, on the bright side, this guy is doing the same thing as you. He's got no money, and actually he has less money than you, and he's also level 5. And so this is something that my guess is that you'll find in kind of like this gold and plat elo. And as people learn to have a better understanding of economy, you'll get punished for it a lot harder. And I think that may be also a reason why you said you dropped from
plat to gold, yeah.
Yeah, from plat to gold. Let me see. You probably honestly don't want to be buying anything right now. Actually, yeah, you 100% you shouldn't be buying anything. You should honestly be considering, do I just full sell my bench right now? Do I sell do I sell Mord, Graves, Leona? Because I already have the tier 2 Leona. I'm not playing this Graves anytime soon. And Mord, sure, he's a Vanguard, but I need that money. I would probably sell that Mord, or I would sell the Caitlyn if I win this round. So let's see if you win this round, and then let's see what happens from there.
This was just today. I don't remember any of this.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. All right, cool. Yeah, you're destroying this guy. You're so strong. You have 3 Vanguard, you have 2 Chrono, you have 2 Sniper. You're super strong. And let's see, do you sell anything? No. Okay, and that's okay. I think a big thing we're going to see over and over this game, it seems like it's going to be you not optimizing your economy. Because just already we've seen probably 3 or 4 times where you had an opportunity to make gold and then you don't. And do you know what I mean by make gold? What I mean is like hitting the next tier of interest. So right now, honestly, like you probably could be at like 35 gold right now. Oh, and you hit the Jace Mord. Man, that is you hit so many units that you want to buy.
Yeah.
So what's happening here is that you need those units because it's part of your build, but it's also super greedy. I think you take them either way.
Now I'm under 20 gold.
Yeah. You take them either way. You probably sell 1 Mord here. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I would sell 1 Mord. Or I would sell, actually maybe I sell Leona, Caitlyn, one of those. You either do one or the other, or you could sell 1 Graves and 1 Leona. Because you need Jace. You want to hit 4 Vanguard so that you spike even harder. Because at this point, you're going to be really strong going into round 3.
Right.
You're going to be super strong. So your only goal should be how can I econ so that I can get above 50 gold and safely level till I'm at level 8 and I have my full build. Because this comp will probably carry you pretty far with your Jace. You'll probably win. You might just win streak like the next 3 rounds too. I'm not sure, but you might. No. Wait.
What did I do?
Okay. So you level up with 4 gold here.
Yeah.
And I get the idea. You're trying to get closer to level 6. You are not going under 20 gold.
Correct.
But for the most part, only spend interest gold over 50.
Gotcha.
And I'm going to write that down.
Okay.
932. Only spend interest gold over 50. And I mean,
Yeah.
I think you probably understand why, but the repeated theme so far is going to be you need to get to 50 gold as fast as possible. That is the name of the game. It's getting to 50 gold, because when you have the money to spend, you can roll down as much as you want. You can roll for units, you can level up, you can do anything you need to do. But in this position, you need to be saving money because you need to have that gold to spend.
Gotcha.
Yeah. All right. So let's keep going.
I think that's the one thing I really panic about in these games is thinking that if I don't continually better my comp, like every single round, I'm gonna lose. I'm thinking it's my brain that I'm gonna like fight the same person again that I just lost to.
Okay.
You know, so I think that's a big help to not think like that.
Yeah. Okay. So then, actually, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit because I don't want to take up too much time just watching this, because I want to talk to you about a certain concept.
Okay.
So, what you need to understand is at what point are you hitting like certain power spikes. So right now, this is your level 8 power spike, right?
Right.
So what I'm going to do real quick, actually, I'm going to let's see. This is what your front line looks like right now, except wait, what do you have right now? Actually, I think you have Leona in instead of Mord. Okay, cool. All right, so you have this out and you have Leona in. Where's Leona? And you have Ashe, and you have Caitlyn.
And the Jace is not in yet.
The Jace is not in? What do you have instead? Oh, you don't have
He's
4
still in
Vanguard
the
in. Ah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And you have Caitlyn, right? So this is your comp right now?
Yep.
All right, cool. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to, I guess, theory craft a little bit, okay? So based on these synergies, let's pretend you don't have, the Wukong, because you don't always get Lilac Galaxy. We're going to go through all of your main power spikes, okay?
Okay.
So if you have a normal level 4, this is probably pretty achievable for most level 4s. I mean, you have to, sometimes you don't hit the Ashe, but normally you'll hit, if you don't hit this, you'll have TF or something, and you'll have 2 Chrono.
Gotcha.
Okay. So, your next big power spike is going to be at level 6, right? And that'll be when you have 4 Vanguard.
Right.
So normally, assuming you don't actually hit Wukong, because that's the hardest one to get.
Yes.
This is what your level 6 looks like.
Okay. Yep.
So, let's just talk a little bit, and I kind of want to hear your thoughts on it. This is where you were before. When you're level 4, what's the fastest way to actually get to level 6?
Anytime that I've gotten to level 6 as quick as possible, because that's usually what I'm trying to do. In my mind, it's hopefully win streaking. Hoping that I get the rolls that I need, hoping that I get the units that I have, so I have everybody in that 4 comp or 5 comp has 2-starred and has items at that point, because then they can carry me to level 6 and get me the other 2 Vanguards, and I'm just basically sitting around waiting for those other Vanguard units to show up in the reroll, without rerolling, obviously.
Right. Okay. So, I think one of the biggest misconceptions about TFT is that you need to be winning to be making a lot of money. Like, winning does not actually make you rich in this game. In fact, sometimes win streaking makes you poorer because you have to spend gold to maintain the win streak. The fastest way to get to level 6 is really just to have more money. The more money you have, the more you can spend leveling. What I would say is, at this point in the game, or for this comp, you have a very easy level 4 power spike. You have 3 1-cost units that you are always, every single game, you're going to find these units. Or at least 99% of the games, you're going to find these units, right?
Right.
And you'll almost always find Ash early.
Yeah.
These units are strong enough to carry you through most weak fights. This comp will beat most weak comps.
Okay.
So it's not really worth spending money to play these units. What's worth spending money to play is Jace and Mord. So right now, this game, you're spending your money on units, and you're spending your money on leveling, right?
Right.
What I'm saying is, up until level 6, you probably should not be spending money on either. You're really only leveling at 5 and at 6, and you're trying to get over 50. Because once you are at level 6, what you should be doing is just rolling down if you need to 2-star some of your units.
Okay.
And you'd only be rolling your interest gold over 50.
Gotcha.
So, let's see. We'll go back to where we were. And I think what I want to do is just for the rest of the session, I just want to kind of focus on this idea of economy, because I don't want to bring up too much all at once. So
That's
I think
fine.
we're just going to keep kind of talking about instances where you could have been building up your economy and how it kind of affected you late game. So let's skip ahead to, let's see, 3-2. You only have 29. Okay. Here we go. This seems like a good spot. All right. So you're level 5 at 3-3. You're on a win streak, and let's see. You buy these. You level. Let's see, does this change? Okay, cool. You make the right decision selling that Graves. Yeah, wait, you sell the Graves? Or no, you don't sell the Graves.
I think I was holding on to it for the idea of a potential level 7 space pirate. I don't know why. Because I knew I didn't have money, so I was trying to think of ways, at level 7 to make money.
Yeah.
Not very wise.
So,
but I had so many Graves units, I was like, I can't just get rid of it.
Yep. So going back to what we were saying earlier about how important it is to get to 50 gold, do you think you would have kept the Graves?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No, I definitely would. There's a 2-star unit, and there's a bunch of. They're just sitting there. They're taking up space on the bench, and it's extra money. And I was 2 gold away from 30, so that makes no sense to be sitting on that.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, honestly, at this point, like, you're unnecessary units. You could say 3 Graves, and then 4, 5, 6, because you already have a 2-star Caitlyn. We're not going for 3-star Caitlyn unless you really high roll it, and you really just hit them all in the beginning.
Yeah.
So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 gold, because we don't, I mean, maybe sometimes you go for Leona 3. I feel like 99% of the time you don't go for Leona 3 because it's just a waste of money. Although it did get buffed. It's very strong. It's just not really worth it, I don't think, in this comp. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 gold is just sitting on your bench that doesn't need to be there, in addition to the fact that you have 5 Vanguard. You don't even need this Leona or the Poppy. You could get rid of one of them and just put Mord in. That means that's 11 gold of unnecessary units that would bring you, if you win this game, that would bring you to 40 gold.
Jeez.
So, yeah. I don't know if you win this, because this guy looks really strong, actually. Let's see. Yeah.
This
wait.
was close.
Ooh, nice. You actually win. Yeah, okay, so there you go, though. So that means that could be 40 gold, and instead you're at 29, which means with your win streak, you would have been over 50 gold going into Carousel when you got the next one. Okay.
This is the worst.
But so you can see how it's difficult to see because you're winning, right? Like it's, so you're not doing it. Oh, I see. I understand how you got the Morellos by accident.
I got the Morello by accident.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, that's the right pickup here, though. 100% you take that.
Yep.
Let's see. Oh no. Okay.
Did I not?
No, you did. But now you're rolling, which again, only roll your gold over 50 unless you absolutely have to.
Okay.
So that's going to be the theme of this. The theme is going to be don't roll your gold unless you're over 50. Oh, nice. You did a great job selling the graves. I think you're trying to get over 40 gold, and maybe you're banking on winning this round?
I'm not sure what I'm thinking at this point. I think what I was actually thinking was I really want to 2-star this Ashe. I'm not seeing a lot of units. I'm going to use the Nico's helper and make her 2-star. I think that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
And I wanted to see how this went to see if that is something that I need. Because again, I'm behind.
Yeah, so all right. So you're behind, kind of. You're behind in a really weird way. You are behind in the sense that you have no economy compared to where you should be. In the position that you're at with this strong of a board, 4 Vanguard, 2 Sniper, you should probably have like 20 or 25 more gold than you actually had this game. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but you should have a lot more gold than you actually have.
Okay.
I'm assuming you're not picking up the Jin here, right?
I believe I do not, but I do later.
Okay.
As in right now. No? Okay.
So,
Thought I did.
sometimes I've seen people try doing like keeping Caitlyn in for Chrono. I think it just comes down to what we were talking about before. So you have to be aware of where your power spikes are, right?
Yeah.
So right now you're level 6. The way to make this comp stronger is to 2-star every unit, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then how can you make this comp stronger? You have 2 ways. You either level up and put in a new synergy, or you replace a synergy with something better. In this case, that would be replacing Caitlyn with Jin. And so
I have a question about that. Because this is something that literally every game I play this, I have this decision. Do I wait until I 2-star Jin to replace the Kate? Is that a stronger power spike, or is a 1-star Jin with the items that Kate already has built stronger and should be done right away?
That's a good question. I don't play this comp, so I don't know off the top of my head. My gut tells me that Caitlyn is probably stronger until the point of the game where she's just not one-shotting people with her ult.
Yeah.
And at that point, I mean, she still one-shots tons of people, though, but Jin is I would say it's probably safe to just put in Jin. And unfortunately, you actually rolled past 2 Jins, so you could
sure did.
You could actually be way stronger, or way further ahead. And you have Jin items still right on the bench here, right? We still have that IE that you could be playing, but you're not. And would you say that's just because you're not exactly sure what items
I want to do?
You want to put on? Okay.
I think I'm seeing the Jin items, and I know that I want to go Jin in this game, but I don't know why. Honestly, I must have not seen him when I first re-rolled it, because he's still on the board there, and I think I pick him up now. Oh, no, I didn't. Wow. Thought I did.
That's okay. All right. Let's see. So now you're over 50 gold, though. So let's just kind of see how you play with gold.
Oh, no.
Okay. Okay, you know what? It's not the worst thing in the world to go 7 here. Actually, I think you can. Yeah, going 7 here is okay. I see that you put in the Mord. Actually, let me just see if you actually put in the Mord when it goes to the fight. It looks like you will.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's look at these synergies, right?
Yeah.
Based on what you see here, do you think that going a 5th Vanguard is ideal?
No. I think the only reason is because for some reason I always feel like Jace is my strongest unit, so my brain was like, oh, a 1-star Jace is totally worth keeping in there, rather than throwing some other synergy in there, rather than replacing Jace for the Mord, because I had I 2-starred Wukong and Mord at that same whatever you would call it bench.
Yep. So I understand. I totally understand what you're saying. And honestly,
Yeah.
if you want to just keep the Jace in, I'd probably get rid of this Leona or the Poppy.
Yeah.
I'd probably take those out because you don't need them anymore.
Right.
And on top of that, I think, let me see. Let's see, is there anything else? Okay, you don't actually roll past any Celestials, but what you could do is, knowing that you want to level to 7, because I'm sure at that point you were thinking, okay, I need to hit level 7 soon. If we went back, here's a Xin Zhao, here's a Xayah. Obviously, they're not super strong, but 2 Celestial is actually a really good power spike.
Right.
It gives you a ton of healing for your entire team. And at level 7, that's a huge power spike because you have these unstoppable tanks who are healing off all their damage.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying before, where it's like, just be aware of where your power spikes are in your comp.
That's super helpful because that's something I think I get so focused on, like, not changing what path I'm going on. I'm like, oh, I'm going for Vanguard 2 Sniper, and I'm gonna get the Karma for the Jhin at when I'm at 7, and I like have all this planned out in my brain. When I get onto a path, that I don't realize it keeps changing each game, even when you're trying to get eventually somewhere. So that now knowing that, I definitely should have picked up the Xin Zhao because I feel like that would have synergized really well with the Celestial, and then also having the Protector, and he kind of just jumps in. Nobody else really does that other than Wukong. So
Right. So this is what I'm going to do real quick. I'm just going to kind of write down some of your main power spikes, which are going to be 2 Vanguard, and then like either 2 Chrono or 2 Vanguard, 2 Sniper.
yeah.
Then it'll be 4 Vanguard, 2 Sniper. Then it's going to be 4 Vanguard, 2 Sniper, 2 Celestial. Then finally, it's going to be 2 Vanguard, 2 Sniper, 2 Celestial, 3 Dark Star. And actually, you'll have 2 Mystic as well, because you're going to run Lulu at level 8. So, I'll keep these in the notes for you, and at the end I'll go through and actually write the units for you as well. Alright, so what I want to do here, I think we kind of get the idea of, like, you're spending more money than you should. You're still, you're building Caitlyn's, you don't need that. I want to kind of see where the downfall comes.
Oh, it's sad.
Although you did a great job of building up your econ. And win streaking, because your board is super strong. Your board is so strong, which is why, like, to me, it's kind of thinking like you're in a position for a first this game.
Right.
You should be playing for first place. You have great Jhin item. Well, you don't have great Jhin items, but you have a Jhin item, and it could be a second Jhin item if on that first carousel you didn't pick up Ashe and you picked up another Jhin item.
Yep.
Alright, so let's see where you start losing. Here's your first loss.
That's about it.
There's all your gold. Okay, hold on. Okay. So, you lose, and you get... Wait, is it here, or is it after this? Nope, it's here. Okay. You lose, and you get scared. Is that what happened?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, and now I'm under 80 because the whole game I've been over 80, and you can see like last place has got 19, 25. Everyone's like so far behind that I was like, what happened? Where's my power spike? Like, now I'm in the late game where things fall apart.
Right, and so
I see a lot.
Is this kind of the point that you feel like it always happens? Like once you
literally
lose?
right here.
Okay. Okay. So one little thing, and then we'll talk like about some bigger things. One little thing is, don't spend your money during a PvE round because you're losing. You would be getting the interest gold of being over 50, and you could level up after this, and you get an extra 5 gold.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, you have so much health. You have so much health. You don't have to be afraid. You have to think of this game like you have 3 resources. You have money, you have units, and you have health. And you have to give up one of those to make the others stronger. In this position, you've got health to spare. what you could probably be doing is spend all of your excess gold slowly leveling to 8.
Okay.
And maybe if you lose once or twice more, that's when you can level to 8.
Gotcha.
But you've got a lot of health. And you actually have way more gold than you need, because you can sell this Leona, you can sell this Caitlyn, you can sell this Soraka. You can honestly, I only ever build 3 costs if I really feel like I'm super ahead and if I have the economy to do it. And obviously, I mean, I think part of the problem is that you're not quite aware of like what your economy should be looking like. So I get that, like, to you it's just like, yeah, let's buy the units. But generally, I would say only go for those. Only go for 3 stars if like you really feel like you're just hitting them and you have the money for it. Wait, let's see. How do you use all these items?
Look at this mistake. You ready for this?
Oh no. Oh
So
no.
we're gonna turn that into the trap clone.
Okay.
On Ash. We're gonna turn this into a GA.
Oh man.
On Ash. I think.
Let's see.
Oh,
Let's see what you
not
did.
yet, then.
Oh no, not yet.
Okay.
I mean, Trap Claw is good, but it really is your only. You gave up your only offensive item in this build.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Yeah, you lose to this
Maybe
guy.
I don't go Jin this game. I thought I did.
Okay, so let's see. At this point, are you trying to econ back up, or are you trying to roll down? There's another Jin. Okay, so I would say a big part is just being aware that, like, in this spot, you should be running 4 Vanguard, 2 Sniper, and Celestial, right?
Yeah.
And you should have tier 2 Jin with an
Usually
IE
at that point, yeah.
and a Trap Claw or a GA or whatever. And you would you could have had that this game.
Yeah.
So a big thing is just being aware of what your end game looks like, you know, doing this and then having your Karma,
Yep.
having your Lulu.
Yeah.
And this is your level 8. But instead of having this, you have this.
Yeah.
So
Synergy. What's going on?
yeah, and obviously you haven't rolled a Lulu, so you don't actually have the Lulu yet. So you probably run like a Cassidin or something instead.
Right.
But you should be much stronger than you are right now. And I think what's probably going to happen is that maybe some other people die in the next couple of rounds. Maybe you can beat a couple of them. But yeah, there's no way you win this game.
Yeah.
From this position. You spent all your money. You don't really have the core units. You don't have a tier 2 Jin. And that all of that lead that you built by win streaking is now gone.
Yeah.
So let's see. I mean, let's see. You lose this. Yeah, that's a good pickup. Going Dragon's Claw, that's fine. No Jin again. It's okay to like be rolling down because at this point you're really weak. But you know, obviously the problem is like you're not picking up the right units. You don't need this Gangplank right now. You don't need this Caitlyn. You don't need these Leonas. You don't need this Caitlyn on the bench. You should you should just be playing for that comp that we just talked about. So that's okay. I'm not going to talk about that anymore because you get the idea.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it should just be a stronger end game comp, and you're just it's just, right now it's just not strong enough. Okay. So
Look how far down I went.
you did.
I
You
was
lost
at
5 in a
73,
row.
and I'm at 23.
And also, I feel like
That's
you'd have like
crazy.
tier 3 Jin. We've seen so many
I
Jins
know.
this game.
It's very disappointing to look at this.
All right, let's see. Oh, but wait, you win this one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, look, he's running Jin.
Yeah.
But actually, you beat him, so. I mean, tier 2 Gangplank is a good unit to throw in. If you're gonna do that, I mean, listen, you hit 3 Gangplanks, I don't blame you. But this comp could look like Celestial, Mystic, and Jin instead of Caitlyn.
Yep.
So
I totally lose to this.
Yeah, I was going to say
clear.
this guy looks really strong.
Yeah.
Although, let's see what this Gangplank does.
Not much.
Not enough, yeah.
It's the Kale, man.
Yeah, Kale is scary. Oh, wait.
Threading in the
wait.
back. Oh.
Wait, do you
No,
win?
this one. No, it's really close, though.
Wait, no, I think you win.
Oh, wait, do I win?
Wow, you actually beat him. Huh.
Barely.
Yeah. Nice. All right. I think you lose on, like, the next round or two, though, I'm assuming? Or...
Probably. I'm not sure.
Let's see. This
'Cause I come in
guy is
fourth.
very strong. Oh, you come in fourth. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
There's
yeah,
two.
I'm assuming that, my guess is one of these people die, and then you just die right behind him. Let's see.
I think I get 1 HP.
Oh, really?
Yeah, pretty sure. Let's see.
Oh.
Yes, I do.
Nice. All right. And do you just lose the next one, but the other guy
Yeah,
dies first?
pretty sure.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. That's fine. I don't think we needed to really focus on like the way you played the last couple of rounds, because the problem was
It's-
not how you
yeah.
played those last couple of rounds. The problem was you didn't have you didn't have an optimal endgame comp, right? And you spent too much money
Right from the beginning.
from the beginning.
Literally.
So let's just talk about some, like, I guess, action points that I want to leave you with. The first one is this. So wait, let's see. Let's just say action points. Here are going to be your level up checkpoints. And I would say usually use this as a reference point. And you could probably go 7, 3, 5, only if you're win streaking.
Okay.
Or yeah, 4, 1 is safe. And then level 8, probably something like 4, 3 if you're going fast. If you're just like, if the lobby is really strong and you just need to get to level 8. Or, you know, you can do something like 4, 5 or 5, 1. If you're winning and you don't need to level up.
Cool.
So this is going to be your basic framework for leveling up. Other thing is rolling. Whoops. Rolling. Oh my gosh. Here we go. This is going to be the criteria for you to roll down. You will roll down if over 50 gold and your board is weak. So what I mean by that is, ideally you'd rather use over 50 gold to level up, right? You'd rather put that money into your levels, because that's your comp relies on hitting these big synergy checkpoints, right?
Yeah.
But if you are level 6 and you have all 1 cost units, it's okay to roll your gold over 50, or sometimes even down to 40 to try and 2-star your units. But generally, it's more important to stay over 50 gold. The other reason you can roll down is if you are losing a ton of health. So, and by that, I do not mean if you lose one time and are at 75 health. What I mean by that is if you are starting to get maybe closer to like 40 health. That's when, and it really does depend. Like if you are at 90 health and you lose 3 rounds in a row and you're at 60 health, then yeah, then you can roll down. But if you are like at 50 health and you lose twice and you're at, or if you're at 50 health and you lose once and you're at like 41 health, then you don't really need to, because it's just 1 loss. So generally, only roll down if you're over 50 gold and your board is weak, or if you're losing a ton of health, or if everyone is low health and you want to power spike to kill someone in the lobby.
Gotcha.
Typically, that's only going to be level 7 if you're poor. I'll say only level 8. Only level 8 unless you're super poor. In which case, you'd probably do it at level 7.
Okay.
So these are going to be your main things. Your level up checkpoints and your rolling. Because the main thing that I saw in that game was that you needed to work on your economy, and you needed to... Oh, I guess the other thing is team comp. Let's say always know what the end game comp needs to look like. So I'll send you this link to this, and I'll add the items back to Jin for you.
Cool.
But these are going to be your takeaways. The things you need to learn are when to level up, when to roll, and then what your end game team comp needs to look like. That's the laundry's going in the back. So do you have any questions?
I think this is super helpful because I think there's a lot of panic in the way that I play, and the decisions that I make usually end up because, like, you could, if you jumped in halfway through the game and you saw that I was over 50 gold and that I was in the lead, you're like, oh, you must have done a pretty fine job getting there, which is how I felt when I was playing. But then looking back, looking at how much gold I could have had and how many decisions I didn't need to make, where I could have just literally done nothing and kept the comp the same because I was winning or because it was working. I didn't need to roll up to something. And the same thing goes with the team comp. Sometimes I get afraid, like, what if the Jin doesn't show up? Like, what if it never comes up and I can't get it?
Yeah.
And I decide that, I'm not putting any investment into 3-starring Kate when I could have if I saw all those units, But I end up selling them anyway in that game. So I think I really do panic quite often when I don't need to. So that's super helpful. And the concept of being over 50 is something that only has recently happened. I was always at like 10 gold because I re-rolled all the time trying to get the units because I put units as like the most important resource. So this is definitely helpful to see that is not the case.
Yeah, and I would say, like, what you were doing kind of works. Like, you got to plat, and I think you got to, like, plat 2 or 3 at one point.
Yep.
Yeah, so, like, it can work. The problem is it's kind of a feast or famine way of playing the game. Because if you
100%.
if you don't hit what you are trying to get, you just lose. You just get 8th place. Like, I'm pretty sure, my guess is that those games where it doesn't go right, you probably have a hard time coming back when you are, like, down, right? Is it fair to assume?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, if you don't get that really hard win streak, it's probably hard for you to place top 4.
Yep. I'm fighting for 7th or 6th.
Yeah.
That's pretty typical.
Yeah, so playing with your economy, understanding that, like, okay, this is when I'm going to level up most of the time, and I'll roll down here unless I need to. It's a good framework. It changes, but I think that if you use these action points, you'll see a pretty drastic difference in the way your games play out.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, these are all things that I don't know. It's stuff that I subconsciously probably do by accident, but actually seeing it, analyzing it, and watching, like, I've never watched one game back ever, and being able to hear you point out and go, ugh, turning points in the game is like, it clicks in my brain when I can actually see it. And then the action points are super helpful, and it makes more sense. Like I said, I'd probably do it sometimes subconsciously, not realizing that that's the right thing to do, but I don't do it consistently, clearly, because I haven't been winning consistently.
Yeah. I think that this is going to be a good start. I think your games are going to change a lot, and I'd love to hear, like, kind of how they play out when you're implementing this stuff into your game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Definitely.
All right, anything else you kind of wanted to talk about?
No, I mean, this really, the questions that I asked at the beginning, this really covers it.
Cool.
Yeah, I think just knowing when to level up really helps me understand when I need to start units as well, because that was my other question. Like, what do I do when? And I think this sets that up a lot better for me.
Yeah, and I would say there's a lot more we can talk about, but I think at some point it kind of gets convoluted and difficult to understand if you don't have a good grasp on the fundamentals like this. So I would say, like, we can talk another time about, like, reading
Okay.
the board state and understanding the strength of your units. But this is probably the best place for you to start. And once you get these down, we can kind of take it one step further.
I think that next step for me, like you're saying, is probably positioning on the board and how that affects, and being more aware of what everybody else is building.
Yeah.
I think that is something that I fall flat in as well, is getting stuck into a comp. Like if someone else is going blaster brawlers and I'm doing it, I very rarely deflect from it because I'm like, well, I'm going to be the better one at it. Or not positioning correctly for, the Blitzcrank when I know that he's always on the right side, and like I'll flip some units sometimes, but not actually paying attention at the last minute. Because I watched, I think it was one of your games where you got the one where you got into Master. You literally waited until the last possible second, and you told us, you were like, I'm going to flip these 2 units at the last second so that they can't see what I'm actually going to be placed up as.
Right.
Because it's going to be better positioning for me. So that's something I need to be better at too.
Yep, definitely. And those are, like all smaller things that help you win the game. But these are the things that you'll see will be used in every single game. So I think you're right. That's kind of like the next step.